Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to begin by welcoming you here to listen to me talk. I'm probably not going to do the whole 2 hour of talking. You're going to talk for a little while. So I'm Marilyn. Those of you who don't know me, we're the girls from Southington. So who go to Mark's. So that would be my number one. That's Mark's. So, hi. I'm going to shut the door.
I brought a friend from Texas.
Oh,
This
no.
is my cousin.
You're going to tell people in Texas? Okay, so I was thinking about this for a while. The fact that we've been doing this since 1982 as a business. Prior to that, of course, like the rest of you, I was doing sewing and quilting. I actually got a sewing machine as an engagement present. So, well, I guess it made me happy, and that was what he did. I started sewing, as the rest of you did, doing clothing, making garments that never really were right for me.
Yep.
You know, they looked good on the package. They looked really good when they had the thing standing up there, and you said, but it wasn't really me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I was always too short and too chubby, and my hair was curly, and I never looked like that model thing.
Yeah.
However, I enjoyed the process. And so when I was expecting our fourth child, and she's in her, I'm not going to tell you how old she is. So I was taking a yoga class, and somebody in class was teaching quilting in her home. And as a gift to me, she said, why don't you come and learn about quilting? And so that was what began. And so that's going, so Denise is, you know, she's an adult woman with children. And so that's how long it's been, which is a kind of a fun thing. The first thing that I actually quilted by machine, I took 2 sheets and I put them together with batting in between. And I had this machine and I lowered the feed dogs. And I just the thing was a queen size, you know, big bed sheets. And I just made these circles and I just did whatever was easy to drive around. And so that was really my first quilt. It was also the first time I tried bias binding. And I had enough of an extra sheet that I could cut it up and I could go all the way around with this bright pink binding. So it was very special. I actually had a picture of it hanging on a clothesline at an event that I participated in, and that was one of the quilts that was on the clothesline. I just sent the picture to somebody named Donna Bailey, whom some of you may know. Donna, very talented applique. She now lives at Covenant Village in Cromwell, or Middletown, wherever it is. Anyway, I sent the photo to her because she had a nicer quilt in the picture than mine. Sheets. Anyway, so I want to start over there. I'm just going to point. I'm not going to go over there. Well, I will. The jackets is something that I did for a long time. I did quite a few quilted jackets. The one that's in the front is a new one. That's called the Tamarack.
Yep.
And that's actually going to be a class. So I'm going to grab it. We're videoing because Fran Dunn, one of our very special people, wanted to come very badly. She wanted to particularly see some old friends, but she really is a fabulous quilter. I'll show you some of her work. And so her daughter texted me this morning and said, oh, do you think you could video it? So hence, everybody in Texas is going to know you were here. So I'm going to sneak by and I'm going to grab something back here.
Did you make that dress?
Yeah, I'm going to just climb over there.
Pretty.
Thank you. So this is something that, and I have a letter attached to it. Very early in my sewing machine career, when we started to sell sewing machines, we started to go to the sewing machine conventions. So every company holds a convention for dealers all around the country, and now it's getting to be world, to attend and learn stuff.
Oh, wow.
And one of the teachers was Georgia Bonesteel, and she was teaching free motion quilting. and she was a Bernina dealer. It was a Bernina convention. Was in Philadelphia. And because I had some experience doing free motion quilting, as you know, she taught this technique where you lower your feed dogs and you are actually looking at the fabric. But the batting and where you want the quilting to show is near the feed dogs, or where the feed dogs used to be. Does that make sense? So you're looking at the print in the fabric. And we did a little practice piece, and I went home and became enthused. And so we had this kind of funky fabric, which to me lent itself. And this was a pattern in the day. And so I began free motion quilting. Now I started with this side. And all the white you see is from my ironing board. I started on this side. These are the pieces of fabric. And if you look closely, and you may look closely at whatever you care to touch, this is where I began. Then I started to get some steam, and this was where I completed it. So when you look, and depending how the light hits it, you can actually see some of those big paisley shapes.
Yeah, you can. Wow.
It's very Japanese looking.
That's pretty.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So this is old, and I sent a picture to Georgia, my buddy Georgia Bonesteel. Now Georgia anybody remember that name?
Yeah.
So Georgia Bonesteel was the mother of lap quilting.
Yep. I have a book.
Right? And she invented what you call quilt as you go.
Oh yes.
Or shall I say, she was one of the first ones who wrote a book about it. So she gets credit for invention. And I sent her a letter and a photo of the dress. And so she sent me a letter back.
Aww.
And I believe, so she and her husband had a business. It was called Bonesteel's Hardware and Quilt Center. So she was really a pioneer.
Right.
And this was in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Yep, I know
And
where
the
that
beauty of it was if a couple went in, and one was interested in quilting, and the other might be interested in nuts and bolts, then they could not bother each other for however long somebody wanted to go shopping. So this is kind of a fun thing. And what I'm going to do when I talk about something, I'm going to lay it on the table over there. And then afterwards, whatever you want to touch, feel free to touch, okay? So, and you can read George's letter, which obviously I'm proud of. And so that's my foray into garment making with quilting. So one of the things, and I have a bunch of quilts, I want to talk a little bit about each one, so to speak, and just give you, I hope, some inspiration for maybe you'll go home. Some of you are experienced machine quilters. You'll go home and maybe you'll do something. You'll try it, you'll say, oh, that was a pretty funky idea, I'm going to do that. So I want to start over here. I also left open, if I have a big label on the back of a quilt, I left it open. And just so you know, this particular quilt was made in 2013. And it was quilted by Christian Lane Quilters. And they happen to be here. So thank you very much for quilting. And doesn't it look great? So in honor of Halloween,
Can you tell what that is?
Yeah.
You quilted that.
Yes, I did.
in honor of Halloween, I want you to think about doing some quilting on a cheater. That's the perfect way to begin.
Yeah.
And as you get closer to it, I'm going to show you on the back the black.
Yep.
So that you know, once you get going, you feel a little bit of a rush. And you're saying, oh, I'm going to outline this. Oh, I think I'll sashay over to here. And then all of a sudden, it's like crazy quilted. You have so much on there, and you really feel excited about it. So I'm going to show you a bunch of cheaters that maybe you'll get inspired by.
It's giving me goosebumps all over my legs.
You're getting inspired? Good girl. All right, so this is, I think, so somebody told us recently that Halloween yields the greatest profit of any
Wow.
holiday.
Really?
Lately,
I
yeah.
like that.
Border.
So a lot of people are into Halloween. A lot of people are into Halloween.
Outfit.
I want to show you, here's another version of that exact same quilt. This is somebody else's take on it.
Oh, yeah.
Totally different. So she's just got some big
Meander.
Mm-hmm. pre-motioning, and totally, to me, it looks totally different with the borders.
Yeah.
Blue.
So whatever you select, you're going to create your own look. So have some fun with that. Now, whoever did this did a little embroidery on it. It says close to home right on it. So definitely theme. I think it would be fun to have a spot in your home, on the wall, in your office, in your sewing room, in your bathroom, wherever you put it, where you have a certain width of stick or quilt hanger or whatever, however you choose to hang. And on that wall, whatever season it is, could be that exact same measurement for a little wall hanging. So that you could, naturally, you need to think about every season or birthday season, or you can mix it in, your special season that you like the best. And you will have your own place to show your quilts. Even if you're the only one that ever sees it. But when you get a little braver, then somebody else will come in. And,
Inside on eye doors.
so one of the kinds of quilting is done, this would be done on an embroidery machine. So years ago, I had to work at a quilt show that our son Paul was doing down in, is it Fairfield that has that big quilt show, Spring Flowers of Quilt? It's not Fairfield, but in that neighborhood. I'll think of it after. And it's a nice guild, and they do this big show every year. And he said, Ma, you know, we could use an extra body. So I cut a bunch of muslin and batting, and that was when we had machines that you could push the button, and they would dance around, and you could still talk to a customer, tell whatever she wants to know, while the machine is doing your work. So,
I'm bringing in my quilts.
yes, come on in. I got a front row seat for the young lady right there. Thank you. You can watch the video, Connie.
Okay.
So this has really exploded, this whole notion, because those of you that have embroidery machines, those of you who have quilting machines with what they call automation or computer-generated patterns, they can be custom, and they can also be, what do you call them, pentagrams, or you can do this while you're writing a letter to me or Georgia Bonesteel or anybody else you want to write to. So I want to point out these two quilts over here, the one in the corner, Affairs of the Heart, Affairs of the Heart. So that is all done on an embroidery machine.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think I have to have that.
The quilt or the pattern?
The pattern.
So Gail Seifert, who teaches some classes for us and does a lot of the machine embroidery classes, did, guess what, 2 quilts the same. So those are actually the same quilt. The one on the left, in a different palette, is done on a small hoop. Because not everybody with a machine embroidery unit can do big. They have limits. And the one on the right, done in the jewel tones, was done with a machine that has a larger design area. So, and don't think it's not a lot of work. Even though I said you push the button and you do it.
Especially when you're putting
boatload of work. So that's Gail.
That's the
She does a
shame technique, is that quilting downstairs with the
All right, I want to move along to one of
I
my,
quilt by juggler. No, I don't either.
I love quilting.
so this is something I think I invented.
Oh, I
This is an
Spy.
early quilt that I did, and they call it an I Spy quilt. I didn't realize at the time that you're not supposed to put it the same thing all.
Oh.
I didn't have any clue. I just
Right.
saw a fabric. I said, oh, I could get a lot of Cocopellis or whatever. And I did it. And I didn't really think about it at the time, but again, I was new to machine embroidery, and I put all the things facing in.
Right.
And it was that handsome guy that was here a minute ago. He said, oh, why did you do that? And I don't even if I had to do it today, I'm not sure what the right way to put the words would be.
I think it's fine.
Oh, I like
Thank
mine.
you.
I like
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
because you're here. So it's,
How else would you do them?
I don't know.
No, I think they're all going the good way.
Yeah, if you're sitting in the middle of
Okay
it, they're
then,
facing.
majority rules, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful.
Which way you do it, you're right.
say it again?
No matter which way you hold it.
If you're sitting
holding
on
it
the middle
correctly.
of it.
Okay
it's all
then, there you
facing
go.
Yeah.
So what I want to point out to you is the way I quilted it. So I refer to it as country roads. I don't know anything about the country. I know about driving. And what I do is I start, and I've got my walking foot, and I just do a little driving. And I go from one end of the quilt all the way down to the other. And then I rotate. And well, actually, I do a second row.
Yeah,
I move my walking foot, and I do a second parallel row.
Echo that.
And then I rotate 90, and I do it again.
Mhm.
And when it's done, so I'll show you the back. So when it's done, and I really do have an up and down, and up and down. When it's completed, so you can see the white, then I know that I did enough quilting.
Right.
Sometimes you can't see.
Right.
So this has colors. This is a color thread. This is not monofilament.
Right.
Okay, country roads. So that's one of my, it's
Simple.
old, I don't even have a date on it, but I'll have to think back when I learned how to do machine embroidery.
Just doing straight lines.
All right, I'll show you now one of the things that we do here pretty regularly with cheaters. We take a ruler. So everybody's into Paris now. Did you know that?
No.
Somebody said, well, Paris and Italy might be sinking because there's so much tourism there right now.
Oh, really?
Everybody seems to, oh, in Spain. Everybody wants to go to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to Paris.
In Italy, it's big.
And everybody wants to go to Italy. So if you've been, be happy that you already saw all that stuff. So here is a cheater with a couple of borders. And what we do is we take a ruler, like a 6.5 inch wide ruler, and we draw a line from corner to corner, and then we just make a series of parallel lines. And this is the back, which doesn't have anything to do with the front. So be thinking about that. Be thinking about that. When you see a fabric that you love and it's marked down, get enough for the back of a quilt.
Oh, yeah.
Get enough so that you've already got it and you put it away.
3.5 yards.
3.5.
That's right.
There you go. Well, so there
Or the
you go.
whole.
And so this is recent, like a few years. But I have a bunch of them and I'll put them over there. And you'll see the same thing over and over and over.
Yep.
Just the whole idea of a cheater. I would say Phyllis is one of the queens of the cheaters, right? She has tons of people. You're always doing baby quilts. And she puts them on Facebook. So Phyllis lives in Florida. But she came all the way. So we got somebody
Texas
came from
and
Texas, Florida. Oh, anybody else come far? Paula came from Maine.
Enfield. Yeah.
I'm going to my high school reunion in Anfield
Are
on
you from
Saturday.
Enfield?
And you came all the way from Enfield?
I did. It's a whole half hour.
That's why I'm in Connecticut.
I'm still honored that you did that.
Oh, that's funny.
So I have a new hip, just so you know, some little ginger. So now this doesn't have X's. This just has a bunch of parallel
I
lines.
love Laurel Birch and her
And
kitty
again,
cats.
just something.
She's in my closet,
You know, don't
just sitting.
obsess that the back has to match the front.
Yeah,
Here
Laurel
we
Birch.
go again.
I have so
So
many.
find a cheater that you kind of like. Add a couple of borders
This is right up your alley, right?
and
It's a
have
simple,
some fun.
You can make a lot.
Okay? And this is
Oh, I like that fabric.
the backing.
That looks like
Now we
William
get a
Morris.
little bit,
I do that.
I hate to use the word anal on tape.
Amazing.
because
That's
that
William
doesn't sound
Morris,
nice.
isn't it?
We get a little
The back is.
particular, and we stick a casing on, and you don't even know that it's there.
Right.
So we match
Right.
the fabric. Okay?
Yeah,
So
to hang
getting, you don't have to do that.
So you can hang it.
Now
Or
here,
if you really
this
want
is
to
again a
shoot things,
panel,
Yeah.
That's a cute one too.
and if you're a coffee person,
I've used that fabric.
That's
Yeah,
cute.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Isn't that
Yep,
beautiful?
It is.
okay?
I
Just
love that.
That is beautiful.
and somebody's going to think it was a lot of work. Now, this is not a cheater. This was a quilt. Which one are the there, I think this one. This was a quilt that we did one of the shop hops a few years ago,
Oh,
and we had those little postcards. So you may see this as a class
wow.
coming
Yeah,
up, just
yeah,
because.
yeah.
But
Pretty.
this is not very creatively quilted, just so you know.
It's beautiful. Look at that.
That's my speed.
Simple, yeah.
So you have a little fun, you goof around. And whenever we get those little postcards, or when we've participated,
Tons of them.
we always change up the border.
Yeah.
So actually, we're doing a class called Freedom. If you attended the shop hop, whatever year it was, you got the pattern for free. We're going to do that as a class with our kind of jazzed up. All right, so these are just X's, same old X's. And again, now this is one of my favorite quilts. This is called,
Oh, I love that
I
one.
can't remember what it's
Pinwheel. It's
No, not
no, it's I have it.
Charming Baby?
They're
This Charming
Charming
Baby?
baby, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
That's like for a baby. to
It's
just
just,
play
it's
with.
a lot of
It's
fun.
amazing.
And you do the little flaps.
Prairie Point.
Very
And
Windmill.
again, not very
Windmill.
creatively quilted.
Yeah,
But
but that's okay.
this is a fun quilt to do. I like to teach this class.
I have made.
All right, so just X's, not very creative. All right, so this is a class that I do, and I'll put those over on the other table.
You'll be doing a class on that quilt?
I have done it, yeah. I'll do it again. You want to take it?
I do.
I'll do it again. For Enid. So now Enid used to work at Close to Home, and
Aw.
there are a lot of quilts around that Enid quilted.
Aw.
And I'm going to grab one now because I
It is.
think. Did you
Charming
do the
baby
quilting on
pattern.
this?
I could, it looks like I did.
I think Enid did the quilting. We have.
Well, those are the border things that you stick in. I did
Yes.
a lot of that.
So over the years, we've
Oh,
had
the
some
bowl. It is
awesome,
Charming
talented people who have worked, but also part of the work is fun.
Yeah.
Part of the work can be fun, but we call it work, unfortunately. And this was something that was a pattern done by somebody named Ginny Kelly, and her company is called, I think it's called Wonder Woman Quilts.
Yeah.
And she actually made the sample. She sent me the quilt top, and we had it. I can't remember exactly, but then Enid did the quilting on it and did a really wonderful job.
Is that the roll stuff?
It was on the roll.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Borders made easy.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
Borders Made Easy.
So among our other talented people we've had working here, somebody went on, well, a couple of them went on to have quilting businesses. And this is done by Jill Negrelli. Anybody know Jill? She had her own long arm business for, I don't know if that she does anymore.
That's really pretty.
Yeah.
But this was from Lori Schifrin. She did that batik series, and so this was one of her quilts. And we do carry a lot of batiks, but we don't necessarily.
Yeah.
But I will. Lori actually worked here. I have photos of her. Yeah, she worked here many years ago while she was a violinist in the Hartford Symphony.
Wow.
And in her, she would give me her schedule every
So
week,
talented.
between her rehearsals and the performances, and then she would come. So her sister actually lives in Hebron or Marlborough, and every once in a while she comes and visits. But I think I'm going to give her a call and see if she wants to teach next time she rolls around. So this is former employee,
I like that one.
Fabric, and then Jill, who went on to have a business. Now, I would be remiss if I skipped over this one, because many of you know Fran Dunn.
Oh, friend.
So Fran was here on Saturday and did a class for us. She did this class. It's called Quick Crazy Quilt. That quilt is also the pattern.
Wow. Totally
And-
different.
Over, right underneath the whiteboard there is my version
Oh,
of it. It's
white.
all white on white. And I have to add borders, etc. I was hoping she would come, but anyway. But I want you to know that this was done in 2023. We're talking about somebody who is a retired school teacher. I don't want to say it out loud, how old she is. But she looks fit and
93.
fabulous. And she still got it. She really wanted to be here, which is why we're videoing. So everybody say hi, Fran.
Hi, Fran.
This is another one, and I flipped the label so you could see. And Linda, can you read what it says there?
Fran Dunn, with a little heart, 2023.
We're in 2023.
Oh my gosh.
Very
So
Wow.
she's still active, and she brought in a very bright yellow one. She said, I don't think I've ever worked in bright yellow, so I decided to put this one together as well.
I saw that.
So God bless her. Yeah, she really wanted to be here, but wasn't gonna. Now, one of the things about it is, and you can't appreciate it. You know what? Can I ask you to grab my white on white just to show them what it looks like with nothing on it? And the white on white was crazy. I really did one upside down, so so you won't be able to tell,
Right.
because it's too busy to see.
They're going different directions.
Yeah.
So this is the same quilt,
Fabric, cut.
and this is called Quick Crazy Quilt. And its white threads are what you saw on the back of that jacket before, from Tremia. So this is 36 blocks
Wow.
of white on white.
There's no Y seams.
Now are you
it's
gonna
all
do
straight.
applique on that?
I don't know, but that's what she does. She jazzes it up, she throws on that applique.
Probably a slash.
And that was some hand beading that she did.
Fabric.
And then I'll show you this again so you can realize what she does.
Together.
I call it the last.
She says, this is kind of. So all those pink flowers?
Love those flowers.
Are they applique?
They must be
Yes.
freeze of.
Fran likes
Sheen
that.
Sheen applique. So this is Fran. So Fran,
Right.
and we're gonna get her back to do the class again. It's called Quick Crazy Quilt. Now this is, I can't remember who did this. Do you remember?
I do not.
This is somebody who used to be a customer, and we had that brown fabric, and brown's not one of my colors that I enjoy working in. And so she said, oh, I'll do the sample.
good
And
job.
so she did. This is
Beatrice Potter, right?
Beatrice Potter with some borders, etc. This is somebody else who worked for us for a little while. And when you get close to this one, you'll see the quilting in the middle there, which is pretty creative. Some of you may remember Nikki.
Oh, I remember. Nikki.
So Nikki worked for many years, and so this was one of these cheaters,
Yeah.
and she was fooling around with the long arm, and this is what she came up with. So she did I think did a really nice job.
Great job. She loved
Right,
that.
and the colors are fun, right? So now, do you guys remember Jane?
Yep.
Oh, I love Jane.
So this is Jane. Jane used to like to get those funky templates, and she was the queen. We'd say, go ahead, you like that template? So this was done by Jane, and by then she had done pretty well with the long arm, and so she long armed that. This is relatively current.
That's good.
And there is actually, so the black, see the heavy black
love
stuff?
that.
Yeah.
That's actually free motion zigzag.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Free motion
Oh, yeah,
satin
look at
stitch.
Wow.
So don't be afraid to free motion other. It doesn't just have to be straight stitching. Add some texture,
You
so.
need to have a couple glasses of wine, though.
That's all.